Hi, my name is Meaghan Morrow. I work for the Center for Contemporary Printmaking as their workshop coordinator and media coordinator, and I'm here in the Grace Ross Shanley Gallery to talk about the work in the Instructor Showcase exhibition. The in-person exhibition holds the work of Christopher Shore, our staff master printer, Liz Banish, our studio manager, and myself. This exhibition is in conjunction with the online Instructor Showcase exhibition, holding the work of all of our instructors who are invited, who either teach online or in-person workshops. And we took this time to do this exhibition to really thank all of our instructors for all of the hard work and efforts that they put into making fantastic workshops and making our workshops possible for the Center for Contemporary Printmaking. So I'm going to start with this piece back here, and I'm going to work my way around the gallery. Before I talk about each individual piece, I want to give a little bit of an overview of my work as a whole. Using black and white film, or even sometimes iPhone photography, I capture the reference material for my printmaking work. Most of my prints are done in black and white. The ones shown are all done in black and white. And as we get closer, we will realize that most of my work is based off of my view of alcoholism, whether it's my alcoholism, other people's, or just experiencing, viewing alcoholism from afar. Trying to capture moments of clarity and other kinds of social interactions. I'm going to start by talking about Last Call. If you see me talking about pieces off to the side, it's because of this lovely glare caused from the window behind me. So I'm viewing from a little bit of an angle. This piece is a silk aquatint, 12 by 12, submitted for the 2018 Footprint exhibition. It's a silk aquatint with sheen clay. You can see that kind of yellow tint in the background right there. That's where the sheen clay is. Silk aquatint is a reductive method, meaning everything printed in white is the paper. The acrylic medium painted onto fabric plugs in all of the holes in between the fabric, making it so that it doesn't hold ink. So when printed like a collagraph plate, you get a black and white image. So moving on to Party Foul, this is my most recent work. That's an awful glare, so I'm going to view up here a little bit. This is a aluminum plate lithography. So on the aluminum plate, I created a negative image. So everything that was drawn would then print white. So printed white on white paper, you have a very, very white image. And I decided to use a technique that I've learned from Christopher Shore called rinse print. I thought it was a fantastic method that I wanted to experiment with. So using Sumi ink, water-based black ink, I filled in the remaining paper that wasn't touched by oil. The white oil ink. So creating the illusion of a black and white image, whereas actually the black was not drawn in. It's just dyeing the paper essentially behind the white oil-based ink. I actually really enjoy this method. You can kind of see like the variations where the black didn't quite catch. You can kind of see like the texture of the paper. And I'm embracing it, even if it doesn't capture the entire image. Like if I'm missing some pieces, I think it just like gives to the grain of the image, so to say. Moving on to Street Trap. This is actually one of the only non-reductive pieces that I have. It was created for Lunch Money Print. It's a print exchange. It was a fantastic opportunity to get a very sweet catalog of prints sent to me, and 11 of my prints were sent out to various other artists who submitted to it. So as you can see, there's two different methods of drawing here, one being a line-based touche drawing, and the other being just Korn's lithocran. You can kind of see the noise from the contrasting drawing methods is kind of masks it a little bit, but you can kind of see the man in the background getting stuck, so to speak. Whereas you have the fly trap through the center cutting through the image. Moving on to Ephraim. This was one of my first litho projects, and it was purely just to do it. Before this, I was working mainly only in mezzotint for the previous year, so this was a really good transition. It's a method called Meaghan Morrow, creating a black shape to then reductively scrape away an image. So I'd be scraping away the white tones using some sort of a pumice stone or even like an X-Acto knife to physically remove the grease content on the stone. Moving on to a meeting place. This is one of my favorite mezzotints. I thought it was really successful in that it's very dark, and yet as you come close, there's so much detail. I'm really satisfied with this piece. I love the camel billiard balls in the background and the Budweiser mirror. It was just a moment that was captured between two friends in a very hectic bar. So moving on to, let's see, Chris's lovely work. Moving on to this little wall over here, we have 10-second break. This is my first mezzotint. This was a moment pre-COVID where I captured an image of a manager at a bar just taking a second from a very, very busy night, very busy Saturday night, reaching into a cooler that was lit from under. I thought it made for a really good image to capture like literally a break in the chaos. And then moving on to these mini prints that I created for 2019 mini print exhibition and competition, fluorescence and billiards. I have to say I'm not as satisfied with these. I don't think I used the tonal value as much as I should compared to 10-second break and a meeting place. These are very like contrasty, which I'm not so mad at, but I think the next mezzotint I'm gonna dive into using more tonal values rather than this super contrasty either black or white image. But as you get in there, you can kind of see there was an attempt at some subtle values. So moving on to my last piece in the front of the gallery, it's a really good contrast from the first piece that I spoke about, and there's going to be some really crazy glare because this is such a bright day out today. But this is a silk aquatint. This is my largest piece, and it was purely for experimentation. I did like the content of the work, like I wanted to create the image. I just knew that I wanted to create a 22x30 silk aquatint plate. Based off of my experience with the first silk aquatint, the first piece that I talked about, you know, that piece is very tightly painted in, not very expressive in the mark making, not very gestural in the mark making, so I wanted to try something where I can really let loose. And even though it's 22x30, I fought with that too. You know, my instinct is to get really tight and really painted in there rather than get loose and thick with the acrylic mediums. But it was a good experimentation. I'm not upset with it. I don't think it's finished yet. I think there's still stuff to do. Maybe I can view it at a different angle so you can see they're in the middle of a billiards game. So yeah, thank you so much for everyone who tuned in. Just giving a little view of all the pieces in the exhibition. Some fantastic pieces from Christopher Shore and Was Banished. Thankfully, they work in color because I struggle with color. I think in black and white, and that's just me. But yeah, it's really great to have the opportunity to show my work with such fantastic artists.